All right, a little too close for comfort tonight in Memphis as the Grizzlies finally pull away late in the fourth to get the win, 119 to 109. But, man, I was gripping. It's like, what in the world's going on here? 19.5-point dogs at Minnesota. They pull out the win by 2. And today the Trailblazers were in this one for basically 3.5 quarters. And then you saw Chauncey start to pull out all the stops to get the job done as the Grizzlies able to pull away and get the victory. Now, the one thing that's driving me crazy, I really don't understand this. And if you're someone that's on this side, I would love to hear from you. Like, you do understand why they're losing games, right? Do you understand why the Blazers are actively trying to lose the remainder of their games? Seriously. Because I find the occasional Trailblazer fan that's upset at the way this team is handling the final portion of the regular season. So let me ask you something. What exactly is significant about meaningless games? The team's eliminated from playoff competition. They're not going anywhere. They stand to gain nothing by winning games. And I would go as far to say that playing Dame or any of the other significant players on the roster in meaningless games is pointless. Why would you risk injury? Why? To do it for the fans? I mean, come on. You got to grow up and recognize what's at stake here. So I'm going to explain this one more time because there are people out there that are resistant to the tanking. Call it whatever you want, tanking or losing games with purpose, win management, whatever you want to say. They're doing it for a reason. Okay, what does this team need right now? Aside from new ownership and potentially a new head coach, what do they need? They, meaning the Blazers, need talent. They need talent in the most desperate of ways. They don't have a lot of talent. They don't have a lot of difference makers. They don't have guys who can go out and compete for a championship. The roster is despicable, okay? It lacks size. It lacks length. It lacks balance. But most importantly, it lacks difference makers, okay? So, what are the ways that you can improve the talent on your team? Well, in the NBA, there's 3 primary ways. You can do it through the draft, you can do it in free agency, or you can do it via trade. Well, we know the Trailblazers don't have money to work with in free agency because they're over the cap. So that leaves you with 2 options, the draft and trades. So they know right now that they have a lottery-protected pick. They're not going to the playoffs, so they were in a position to where they can improve their draft position to increase their odds at landing the number 1 pick. Now, why would a team do that? Well, because the number 1 player that's going to be selected this year is Victor Wembanyama from France. And if you can give yourself a 10.5% chance at Victor Wembanyama instead of a 9% chance or a 7.5% chance, why wouldn't you do it when you're not going anywhere? When there's no chance at the postseason? You do it. You go out and you do whatever it needs to be done to not win another game on the schedule so you can finish 5th in the lottery order, and then you go out there and you give yourself the best shot that you have at landing the number 1 pick. And then if you don't land the number 1 pick, guess what? You still have a lottery pick that can be utilized as part of a trade. And I don't care if they get the number 1 pick or not. And I don't care if they're unable to pull off a big-time trade or not. At least they're putting themselves in a position to do that. I know there are no guarantees that things are going to work out in their favor. I understand that. But you still got to go out and put yourself in the best position possible. And you do understand that there is a difference between 9% and 10.5, right? Or 10.5 and 7.5. I want them to have the best chance at number 1 because that would transform the franchise. That's all. So I really don't get the dum-dums out there like, oh, Chad. For example, got this message tonight, and this is the exact type of mindset I'm talking about. Hey, Chad, you're welcome for the loss by pulling Sharp from the lineup. Made a great game turn to bleep. It's obvious the Grizzlies are weak. If we don't get Wemby, this is going to be a big F you to the fans. And 2 failed seasons in a row for the Trailblazers. Well, sir, I'm sorry for your troubles that you have to experience 2 bad seasons after 8 straight trips to the playoffs. All right? Sorry. They're doing the right thing. They're doing the right thing. They're not going anywhere. There's no postseason. They're not making a championship run. So you put yourself in the best position possible to get the number 1 pick. Does it suck? Yes. Would we prefer that this team be better and be in the postseason, be in the hunt, and have a shot in a wide-open Western Conference? Yes. But they're not there. They're just not there. And if you want them to have a chance, they need to have – you just want them to give themselves a shot at landing Wemby. That's all. It may not happen. But if it does, even the complainers out there, the whiners and the complainers and the ones going, 2 straight no playoff seasons, you're going to have a chance. It'll change your minds if Wemby gets drafted. I can tell you that much. All right, 5th quarter, Chad doing, Chris Burkhardt here. Not sure what the Blazers are doing tonight, but Burkhardt, it got a little bit nerve-wracking there as the game proceeded. Memphis came out on fire in the first quarter. Portland stormed back in the second and then started to take control of the game in the third. And I was like, wait, what? I just can't help but wonder if teams like Minnesota and now Memphis take a look at the injury report, know who's not going to be on the floor, and it's human nature. It's like, dude, we got this.
Yeah. We can let off the gas.
Yeah.
We're good.
And then next thing you know, you find yourself in a dogfight midway through the third, and you got to fight, scratch, and claw to take control of the game.
Yeah, there's definitely a weird one, weird vibe from the Grizzlies. They should have wiped the floor with Portland. I mean, it's one of those things. I mean, you and I are both pro-tank now, which is something because it took me a while to get on that train, but I am here now. You do have to give kudos to these young guys, man, though. They are playing hard. Like, Mays looks great. He looks fun. Harrison had a nice dunk in that game. Sharp's looking great. Like, they're doing what they should be doing, which is vying for a roster spot and getting eyes on them, whether it's the Blazers' eyes or not. So you do like that. But, Coach, yeah, just do a little bit less. You ever see that? You know that episode or that scene in Forgetting Sarah Marshall where Paul Rudd's character is trying to teach him how to surf? And he's like, do more. No, you're doing too much. Do less. Okay, but you got to do a little bit more than that. Do more. No, you're doing too much again. Like, that's Chauncey in a nutshell.
No question. Skylar Mays, for those of you who are curious, he went to LSU, and he's basically had a G League type career so far. He started out with the Hawks. He was selected with the 50th pick in the 2020 NBA draft by the Hawks. Mays signed a 2-way contract with the team back in 2020, so he split time between the Hawks and their G League affiliate, the College Park Skyhawks. Mays played for the Hawks in the 2021 Summer League and then signed another 2-way contract with Atlanta in 2021. He spent time with the Delaware Bluecoats. He spent time down in Mexico, and now he's with the Trailblazers. And I'm not going to go overboard and talk about whether or not he's a bona fide NBA player. I think a perfect example of what he's doing right now, Skylar Mays, is what Drew Eubanks did last year. You come in, you get an opportunity to play, you showcase some of your talents, and then you put yourself in a position to earn a contract. That's really what it's about. And if the Blazers can give him a summer invite and he gets a chance to come in and compete, that's cool. But Chris is right. The young players out there playing hard and competing, which is nice. Eubanks tonight had 8 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists in 30 minutes. Mays was the star, 24 points, 8 boards, 7 assists, 9 of 16 shooting, 4 of 6 from 3 in 35 minutes. Shaedon Sharpe, 29 minutes, 20 points, 8 boards, 6 assists. And off the bench, Jabari Walker, 3 of 5 from downtown, finished with 16. John Butler Jr., 25 minutes, had 10 points and 5 boards. And Shaq Harrison, 13 points in 26 minutes. The most important thing is Memphis got the win, and now we move on to the most important game of the season. They're at San Antonio on Thursday, 5 o'clock tip. The question is, what do they need to do to lose that game? If they lose their 3 remaining games, they finish 5th in the lottery order. Burkhardt, I think they're going to have to sit Shaedon. I think they're going to have to put him on the injury report and sit Shaedon Sharpe. They can't take chances in this game against San Antonio. Because if they win, they could wind up in a, three-way tie?
Yeah, because Pacers and Wizards are right there, as are Orlando. Could be,
Four-way tie. You don't want that.
Yeah.
And trust me, the Blazers don't want that either. So they're going to have to take extreme measures for this extreme circumstance. That's all.
I want to see it show up on the report, like DMP math. DMP probability and statistics. Like, I want to see that.
DNP, Corey Jez.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great. Now, I do gotta say, man, I watched a bit, like not just the highlight reel, just watched the game, Victor's last game against AS Monaco. The dude's wild. The way he moves, the way he dribbles, the way he gets his shot off, like he's unreal. I don't think the world's ever seen anything like him. That's why you got to take him number one. And when people always argue, right? Oh, well, he's going to get eaten alive when he gets to the NBA and he has to play against Embiid and Jokic and blah, blah. First off, offensively, go watch him play. He's not in the paint. He plays up above the three-point line and is a wing through and through. Defensively, he doesn't have to body a guy up in the paint because he's so athletic. He can chase him down and move around a lot, which he does. Covers a lot of ground. But it's interesting because in that game, he was playing against Donatas Montejunas, who used to play for the Rockets. The dude's 7'1", 230 pounds. So he's not playing against scrubs where he's playing right now. He's playing against grown men, some of whom have played in the NBA. And he's still doing what he's doing, which makes it very, very impressive. Again, don't sleep on EuroLeague players. Last time you did that was Luka, and look how that's turning out.
Yeah, he's terrific. Okay, we'll keep things rolling here in the fifth quarter. Grizzlies get the win. Blazers now move on to San Antonio. It's the most important game on the schedule this year. They've got to find a way to pull off the loss. And that means if they've got to get extreme and sit sharp, you do it. 503-248-0620. Chris Burkhart, Chad Doing here on 620 Rip City Radio.
It's time for the Nothing But Net Shot of the Night here on the fifth quarter, 620 Rip City Radio. The Nothing But Net Shot of the Night is brought to you by Oregon Dungeness Crab. Sustainably harvested, uniquely delicious, and always wild. Oregon Dungeness Crab always sounds good for dinner.
Now Mays dribbles and attacks, throws it out to Butler on the wing. Butler is bumped by Lofton. Now to Minaya. Back to Butler. Three-pointer to beat the shot clock. Bounces up and then through. It went straight up in the air and dropped in.
All right, fifth quarter. Chad doing, Chris Burkhart with you. 503-248-0620. Your telephone number. Grizzlies get the win, 119-109. Portland made it interesting, more so than I would have cared for about 3.5 quarters. But the Grizzlies able to pull away late and get the win. Let's go out to the phones. George in Portland wants to jump on board the fifth quarter. George, welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hi there, Chad. You're absolutely right. Any victory at this point is counterproductive to the Blazers' cause. I've been hearing people diss Wembanyama saying he's too skinny, he's going to get pushed around. Need I remind you, those are exact same things they were saying about Kevin Durant.
Exactly. You're right, George. The right thing to do right now is put yourself in the best position for the best possible draft pick. That's what it's all about. You've got to do it. And the Blazers are going to have to pull out all the stops for the game on Thursday. But it was cool to see the youngsters tonight. Obviously, Shaedon Sharpe can play. The only irritating thing about watching Shaedon is realizing the coaching staff should have played him more earlier in the year because of his skill set, his ceiling. I mean, the guy's a stud. He's a pimp. So you probably should have gotten him more minutes earlier in the year. He's got star potential. Love his size. Love his athleticism. Burkhart's down. You guys are down. They should have played him more. But now he's getting a chance to go out there and play, and he's responding to it. You know what's great, too? They're forcing him into those playmaking situations, Chris. They're forcing him to take on the other team's best offensive player. He's responding. Like, he's engaging and responding to that challenge.
And he looks 100% more comfortable than he did even 3-4 weeks ago. Like you said, he's responding. He's learning. And I think the biggest thing for a guy with that raw potential is just making him feel comfortable, right? Feel comfortable with that raw power, that just raw talent. And he's doing it. And he's looking like a guy who might develop into that leader type, a guy you can rely on. And you love to see that. And a lot of that has to do, like I said, the tank isn't always bad because it's allowed Chauncey to put him in a situation that he otherwise wasn't going to get to experience this year. And that is guarding the best players, being the go-to scorer, being the guy on the court.
You're right. That's what it's all about. A couple of big games going on right now. Lakers have a lead in the third quarter at Utah, 97-91. Lakers battling and jockeying for playoff position. Thunder lead the Warriors by 5 in San Francisco, and right now the Suns are smashing the Spurs 66-37. Yikers. That's the next opponent for your Portland Trailblazers. Yikers. Who did they start tonight? Zach Collins hasn't even entered the game yet. This lineup for the Spurs, hard to even recognize some of the guys who are playing. That's going to be a tough one. I don't know how the Blazers are going to pull that one off. It's going to have to start with Sharpe. I don't think he can play Sharpe. Man, that Spurs team's bad. They're bad.
Big time. Big time bad. Portland should be equally as bad. I mean, they tried tonight, like it was like Reddish and Thibault were the late scratch, and here you go, fourth quarter. They're still in this game. What is going on? On the plus side, the Spurs have nothing to really gain or lose, win or lose. Things are pretty locked in up there at the top. So, yeah, they can just do what Portland's doing here and just, hey, young Mustangs, go out there and run.
All right, so Zach Collins played Sunday at Sacramento. 16 points, 6 boards, 3 assists. I'm hoping that after getting a night off, he'll be back on Thursday to take on his former team down in San Antonio. All right, we'll keep things rolling here on fifth quarter. We'll come back and give you a scoreboard report from all the action in the NBA. Next game coming up on Thursday, that is a 5 o'clock tip in San Antonio. Game day starting at 2:30 here on 620 Rip City Radio.
It's time for Portland Trailblazers Drive of the Night here on the fifth quarter, hosted by Chad Dewing, 620 Rip City Radio. Drive of the Night is brought to you by Dick's Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram of Wilsonville, ready to compete with the lowest prices in town.
Down to 8 seconds left. Mays has it, takes off, drives, gives it up to a cutting Harrison, reverse jam, ties the game.
All right, fifth quarter, Chad Dewing, Chris Burkhart with you. It was tied at 101 with just under 8 minutes to play. Blazers and Grizzlies tonight down in Memphis. Shaedon Sharpe left the game at that point, did not return. Memphis gets the win 119-109. That could be foreshadowing what we're going to see on Thursday, because this Spurs team's a pile of junk, and it's going to take some impressive effort for the Blazers to pull off the loss in that one. And the scoreboard, which we'll get to in just a moment, none of the games that we needed to break Portland's way broke Portland's way, unfortunately. But that's what we're up against. 3 more games to go, hopefully 3 more losses to come, and the Blazers can secure that 5th spot in the lottery order. The new lottery format's been in place 3 years. This will be the 4th season that's upcoming. The last 2 years, one of the teams slotted in the top 3 with a 14% chance, got the number 1 pick. In 2019, the Pelicans landed number 1 with a 6% chance. And, of course, they drafted Zion Williamson. All right, let's get you up to date around the association.
The fifth quarter on 620 Rip City Radio presents the Scoreboard Report, brought to you by the Stadium Sports Bar and Grill, A-Lene's ultimate venue for sports fans every Monday night, featuring beer and wing specials and more.
All right, the games that are in action right now, 4th quarter in Utah. Jazz lead the Lakers 99-97. Critical game for L.A. in the Western Conference playoff race. Right now, 2nd quarter in San Francisco. Thunder lead the Warriors 60-55. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander already has 15 points and 18 for Curry. In Phoenix, the Suns are pounding the Spurs 67-44. Of course, the Trailblazers will meet the Spurs down in San Antonio coming up on Thursday, 5 o'clock tip. Earlier finals, Raptors over the Hornets in Charlotte 120-100. Siakam with 22 points and 14 boards. The Heat over the Pistons in Detroit 118-105. Jimmy Butler, 27 points, 8 boards, 8 assists. Cavaliers, unfortunately, take out the Magic in Orlando, 117-113. Donovan Mitchell with 43. The Bucks over the Wizards in D.C., 140-128. Another game that did not break Portland's way. Drew Holiday with 26 points, 9 boards, 10 assists. Timberwolves over the Nets in Brooklyn, 107-102. Cat had 22 points, 14 rebounds. Sixers 103, Celtics 101 in Philly. Joel Embiid making his case for MVP tonight. 52 points, 13 rebounds, and 6 assists. Wow. Hawks over the Bulls in Chicago, 123-105. Bogdanovich with 26 points. Rockets 124, Nuggets 103. Down in Houston, Denver not playing good basketball of late. Grizzlies over the Trailblazers 119-109. And in New Orleans, the Pelicans fall to the Kings 121-103. Triple-double for Sabonis, 16 points, 12 boards, and 11 assists. That one right there, number 48 on the year for Sacramento, and that is your scoreboard report. I mentioned the 2 teams that are in action right now, the Warriors, who are trailing at home right now to the Thunder, Lakers trailing at Utah. Those 2 teams jockeying for playoff position in the Western Conference. Phoenix appears to have the 4th spot locked up. So Phoenix will have home court in the first round. But you've got the Clippers, Warriors, and Lakers all right there on top of each other along with the Pelicans. Clippers right now at number 5, 41-38. 6th place, Warriors 41-38. Lakers in 7th at 40-38. Pelicans in 8th at 40-39. And the Timberwolves in 9th at 40-40. And the Thunder at 38-41. The 10th and final playoff spot. They're just in front of Dallas right now, who sits just on the outside looking in at 37-42. Wild. I mean, it is totally up in the air 5 through 10. wide open Western Conference. And, of course, Portland nowhere near to be in a position to take advantage of that, unfortunately. Whatever. Boy, do you think that game tonight with Denver's recent slide and the performance we saw tonight from Embiid, that may have locked up the MVP? I heard Dame say last week that he would vote for Embiid.
Yeah. I mean, Embiid's got a case, man. He absolutely does. And I don't like to get into this because people like to get mad. Like, oh, no, you're completely wrong. I think in this case, whether you're leaning Giannis, Embiid, Jokic, like, you're right. It's the cream of the crop, man. And I don't think you're wrong.
You're right. I like that. Giannis, Embiid, Jokic. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't have an issue with either one of those three winning the award. I would vote for Giannis. Who would get your vote right now? Would you go Giannis, Embiid, or Jokic?
Man, I have been leaning Jokic all year long. But right now, with the way he's playing, I think the Sixers don't look as down as Denver does, even though Denver's still who they are. I got to lean Embiid now, man. I really do.
With that win, the Sixers now just 2 games back of Boston. Celtics are second, 3 games back behind Milwaukee, who is sitting atop the Eastern Conference at 57-22. The Bucks with the best record in the NBA, 57-22. Celtics second at 54-25. And then you've got both Philadelphia and Denver sitting there at 52-27. Memphis also with 50 wins at 50-29.
Just so you know, I went through here on Real GM and looked at the history of the draft. Now, it goes back into the 90s. I just clicked every single one until the year 2000, so the last 23 years of NBA drafts. Only one time in that time span has the team that entered the lottery, 1, 2, 3, ended in the top 3, all 3 of them.
So from 2000 up to 2023?
Someone outside the top 3 has jumped in every single year. And about half of those, 2 teams outside the top 3 jumped in. Ironically enough, 2016 being the only year where all 3 stayed in the top 3, that draft lottery ended up being chalk. Everyone ended up getting the draft that they went in to the lottery projected to get.
I want to make sure I got this straight. So you went from 2000 to 2023?
Correct.
And only one time in those 23 years, or 22 times,
right,
did it finish 1, 2, 3?
Just did the teams that entered the night with the first, second, and third best odds actually end with the first, second, and third pick in some order.
So in every year, aside from one since 2000, someone outside the top 3 has jumped up inside the top 3.
Someone outside the top 3 has jumped into the top 3 almost every single year. And that year that Portland won the draft lottery and ended up getting Odin, they ended the year 7th. Not one team in the top 3 ended it. It ended up being Portland, Seattle, and Atlanta, which started the night with the 7th, 5th, and 4th best odds in the lottery.
That's beautiful. B-E-A, beautiful. So what you're saying is more than likely there's going to be a team outside of the top 3 that jumps into the top 3.
Yep, everyone likes to go, well, historically with Blazers and big men, but yeah, historically, if you're outside the top 3, you got a real good chance of getting in.
All right, we'll come back and take a listen to Coach Billups. The Blazers take the loss tonight, 119-109. San Antonio coming up on Thursday. Tip-off at 5, game day at 2:30. And it's all right here in your home of the Blazers, 620 Rip City Radio.
The fifth quarter poster play of the night is brought to you by Collection Connection, the leaders in framing sports memorabilia, team awards, and so much more. Collection Connection offers you a one-stop, full-service framing experience. Find them online at COLLCONN.com.
Down to 8 seconds left. Mays has it, takes off, drives, gives it up to a cutting Harrison, reverse jam, ties the game.
All right, fifth quarter, Chad doing Chris Burkhart with you, and the Blazers take the loss tonight, 119-109. The big story tonight, really, Skylar Mays with 24 points, showing, and this is one of the bright spots of these tank situations, putting some good tape out there for other teams to take notice and possibly earning himself an opportunity to execute, to go in and really get a call into the summer and be able to get a deal. He's executing, and it's good. And I like to see young players get an opportunity like that. So, props to Skyler for playing well. I thought Shaden looked good before they had to pull him for a variety of different reasons. But, the most important thing is the result was good. The young guys got a chance to play. They showcased, and the Blazers got the desired result. All right, let's check into the corner.
It's time for the Coach's Corner with Chauncey Billups on Blazers Game Day, presented by Henderson & Daughter. Henderson & Daughter has been supplying superior design service, quality windows, entry doors, patio doors, and window installation to the Portland and Southwest Washington area since 1977. Before you decide to just replace your current windows or exterior doors, have our designers present you with a free in-home design consultation and estimate to show you the different styles we carry that can give your home a fresh new look. Henderson & Daughter, your window and door experts.
All right, let's check in with Coach Bills following the Blazers' 119-109 loss to the Grizz.
So, Coach, what do you think of your team's performance
Man,
tonight?
I love the way we played. Again, man, we in a hostile territory. This is one of the best teams in the league, and in particular on their home floor. And we took. They came out and hit us pretty tough in that first quarter. And we took it, started to get back and do a better job in transition, closed the gap, at halftime. And I just thought the rest of the way we really competed. We played hard. We played good.
Skylar seems like, he's on the run right now.
Yeah.
Seems like a guy who, obviously, it's a conversation who has NBA talent.
Oh, he's an NBA player. There's no question about it. He's a good one. He plays the game. He plays the game from the neck up, It's all IQ. Obviously, he has a high level of skill to match that, but he plays the game the right way. He's just smart. He's crafty. He knows how to read situations, and it's been a real treat, having him.
What did you think of Justin's performance tonight? Obviously, first glance.
Yeah, I thought he played good, man. He literally just got here, so he was aggressive, he's scrappy, he competes, he's picking up guys almost full court, he made a lot of extra effort plays out there tonight, knocked down a couple threes. I was happy to see him. He played well.
What does it say about the amount of talent that's out there? You got a team with a bunch of guys who
Yeah.
in the league or have been on the team for very long.
Yeah.
You got to believe in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
What does it kind of say about the talent?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, and the one word that if I had only one word I would point to, I would just say urgency, man. Our guys, we got a lot of guys that are desperate and trying to show and prove, that they belong here, and they're taking full advantage of their opportunity, on these 10-day contracts, and they're doing what they're supposed to do. When I met with all of them, I said, just any advice I could give you is whatever you actually hang your hat on as a player and as a person, it should be on display every single night. And that's exactly what they're doing, all of them.
All right, there's Coach Billups following the Blazers' loss. Let's go back out to the phones. Victor in Turkey joins us. Victor, what's going on, my friend?
All right, thank you for your time. Excuse me, sometimes I say something that might spoil something, but I don't wanna go that way. But it's something like a logic to me that doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? Because I'm 100 happy about the lottery. You know, the lottery that the Blazers are gonna get, and hoping for number one, because that changed the whole franchise, as you said. But there's something logical that the way that analysts they say sometimes it goes like reversing rewinding the tape, like going backwards. Like we know that the Shade, you already like him, everybody likes him, maybe except me, because I want to compare him with Ann Simon, and he's an explosive player, he's a defensive player, he's and so and so. But that's a long because I have to get Dan Moran. Unfortunately, he went to another company, but I need another assistant to come to approve my point. But what I'm saying is, like everybody likes Sharp because he's so good, right? And he gets so much. But you mentioned that or somebody mentioned that if we get him more minutes, like last year or the year before, that would be really good for the team. So what I'm saying is, maybe that's a coach decision that he thought, maybe he knew that he's a good player, but he didn't give him enough minutes. That was a coach decision. So what I'm saying is, if coach, they give him more minutes last year or this year, and we get this like a 10-day contract with this phenomenal player, Mays, that they said, somebody said they're going to sign him next year. So what I'm saying is, with these two, we could beat the Memphis Grizzlies. We already beat the Timberwolves. So what I'm saying is, I know that that's really absurd discussion, but what I'm saying is, if we made that decision before about the Sharp and this other player that we could get 10-day contract, couldn't we like a number 2 or 3? I just want to get your opinion.
Well, I think with the players that we're seeing right now, Victor, Shaedon Sharp and Anthony Simons are two different style of players. Anthony's more of a point guard that can handle the rock, obviously a terrific scorer. I see Shaedon more as a 2, a guy who's got more length and obviously has the potential to be a better defender. And I think the Blazers, what we're seeing from Mays is, a young guy getting a chance to showcase what he can do. And Chris pointed this out during the game tonight that, he's showing that the Blazers do need a backup point guard, whether it's Mays or somebody else. Having someone that can come in, run the offense, handle the rock, and facilitate would be a very good thing for them. But I know you compare the two, but I don't see Anthony and Shaedon as the same type of players. I think they're different.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, right. Yeah. All right. Thank you very much.
Oh, you got it. But I am looking forward to the lotto as well, and we are hoping for number 1 as well. But yeah, I think because they're young, but I see Shaedon and Anthony as two different types of players. I really do. If the Blazers decide to make a move, and let's say they trade Ant, I'm okay with that depending on what they're getting in return. But, Shaedon and Ant could play together too, depending on how things shake out in the future. What would you think about that pairing? Do you think Ant and Shaedon could work long-term together in the backcourt if that's what it became?
No.
Why?
I don't believe what everyone else believes, and I don't think Ant is great as a primary facilitator. And in the situation of a backcourt of Ant and Shaedon, he'd have to be your primary facilitator. So you're going to get a guy who is good at isolation, which he is, and is good at the catch and shoot, with a guy like Shaedon who's also not a primary facilitator, and no one to get him into those positions. It's a lot of guys who have really good skills, but no one to facilitate. So I don't like that. I would rather have Ant 2, Shaedon 3 with Dame, or Ant gone, Shaedon at the 2 with Dame, or whatever you want to do. I just don't personally think those two would be that great next to each other.
Yeah, Ant's more of a scorer, but he needs the ball in his hands. I do not like Dame and Ant together. I know that much.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind Dame and Sharp together. So what you're saying is you do think Dame's a better facilitator than Ant?
Yeah, what I'm saying is I do think Dame is a better facilitator than Ant. He's a better creator, whether it's his own shot or gravity that's going to get open, and his assist numbers this year were great. I think he's a far better facilitator than Ant. But you run into the same situation with Ant. Like I said, that's why I think this team needs a backup point guard. I'm tired of this shooting guard as our primary backup point guard thing, too. Now, CJ was good at that role, better than Ant is. And I'm not selling Ant short. Like, I think Ant's great. I think he's going to be great. But I think the best move is to move on from him and get yourself someone that fits into what you want to build a little bit more. That's why I'm all down. Give me Ant for OG and a couple extra pieces you might need to throw in to get him, because I hate to break it to you Blazer fan out there, but OG Anunoby has way more trade value than Ant does. Like, they're in the same tier of player. Like, if I'm tiering NBA stars, A, B, C, whatever, they're in the same tier, whatever tier that is.
But one guy's more of a two-way player, the other guy's not. Ant doesn't defend.
One is a 3-and-D player, which every single team needs and wants. He is the NBA small forward archetype that every team wants. The other one is a high-volume shooting guard who is good at that. Don't get us wrong. He's one of the top tiers in that range, but still in an NBA that has so many of them. That's why so many fans thought the Blazers undersold on CJ, but people who had been paying attention didn't think they undersold, because they're like, yep, that's about what the value is for a high-volume shooter in this league right now.
All right, that's going to do it for us. We're going to be back on Thursday. Blazers will be in San Antonio to take on the Spurs. Tip-off at 5. Game day will start at 2:30 tomorrow. You can join Justin Myers, Rip City Mornings at 6. Dwight and I will be back for the Rip City Drive at 3. And we're going to be joined by former executive from Nike, Sonny Vaccaro, who is being portrayed by Matt Damon in the movie that just hit theaters, Air. So that's coming up on the show tomorrow. Big thanks to all of you for joining us tonight. Our final score from FedEx Forum in Memphis, the Grizzlies over the Trailblazers, 119-109. For Chris Burkhardt, I'm Chad Doing. Have a good night, my friends.